evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Sunday, January 31st, 2016, around 7:20 in the evening in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's about 45 degrees right now. Going to only be around 40 tonight, which is actually a couple of degrees higher than the average high temperature this time of year. Pretty outstanding. It's something that would be in mid-April for low temperatures. And it's going to be 50s and perhaps 60 on Wednesday. Back to more seasonable weather next weekend. And the second half of January, colder and several chances of snow. Hopefully we don't have a snow blitz. 6 weeks snow like crazy. That'll probably take us into April. Some news to report. Wide receiver Calvin Johnson of the Detroit Lions told the team he's retiring after 10 seasons in the NFL. The next stop for him is Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And the NHL All-Star Game's being played right now. And it's going to be very good so far with the 3-on-3. It's more entertaining than the previous, All-Star Games. And tomorrow I'll tell you who won the games and stuff because it's still going on. And I'm not here to report something that's continuing to go on. I'm not like that. Because if it's going on, it's not relevant right now. When it ends, that will be tomorrow. First video blog. And that's about it on that. My third and final video blog of the night is about the former WCW Tag Team Harlem Heat. Harlem Heat was Booker T and Stevie Ray. They were real-life brothers. They were WCW World Tag Team Champions many times over, and they were one of the best tag teams in WCW history. Booker T and Stevie Ray were trained for a career in the world of sports entertainment in Texas, because they're originally from Houston, Texas. They were trained by Cowboy Scott Casey, who was a legendary wrestler in Texas, who was also known for doing jobs on WWE TV, and they were also trained by WWE Hall of Famer Polish Power Ivan Putski. They made their debut in 1990 in some Texas independents as the Huffman Brothers. That's their real last name. And they actually wrestled in Global Wrestling Federation for a couple of years on ESPN. They were Ebony Experience using Booker T and Stevie Ray. They feuded with John Tatum and Jack Victory and Skandor Akbar's Tag Team Devastation Incorporated. They were actually discovered by Skandor Akbar, and they won the Global Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions many times over. They also were briefly managed by Gary Hart. And they went to WCW in spring of 1993 when Sid Vicious was recruiting talent for WCW. They saw Booker T and Stevie Ray, and Sid Vicious says, "You could be big in World Championship Wrestling." They went to World Championship Wrestling. The original plan for Harlem Heat, they were going to be called Chi-Town Heat, and they were going to be managed by Colonel Rob Parker, and they were going to come into the ring dressed as slaves, and the storyline would say that Colonel Rob Parker won Harlem Heat from a card game, and they did a tryout for them on a Saturday night taping in center stage, but the feedback they got had too much racially sensitive overtones, so they had to scrap the Chi-Town Heat. And when the creatives of WCW came up with a new name, they said they're from Harlem, New York, 110th Street. They were Kane Cole Harlem Heat, and they made their debut in August of 1993 in WCW. They were actually in the main event of War Games, the match beyond Fall Brawl 93, with Sid Fish and Vader to face off against Steen and Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, and Dustin Rhodes and the Shockmaster. They lost that match, and for like the next year, Kane and Cole were like a lower level heel tag team. They would win some matches, they would lose some matches, but they got not too much of a big push. But many veteran WCW wrestlers thought Booker T had potential to be a single star, and several top WCW wrestlers, including Sting and Nature Boy Ric Flair, wanted to wrestle singles matches with Booker T. And in the summer of 1994, Harlem Heat came to the ring, and they would always have a cell phone on them because they were going to introduce their new manager. When they thought of a cell phone, they thought it was going to be Paulie Dangerously, but he owned ECW. There was rumors it was going to be either Colonel Rob Parker, or there was a rumor Ron Simmons, but it turned out to be Sensational Sherry, which the Harlem Heat called Sister Sherry. She debuted with them in the November Clash of Champions, and with Sherry as manager of Harlem Heat, they became a top tag team. They became awesome, and with Sherry's guidance, the Harlem Heat beat Stars and Stripes on WCW Saturday Night in January 1995. Stars and Stripes were Marcus Alexander Bagwell and the Patriot, and they became WCW Tag Team Champions for the first time. And they would, for the next several years, Harlem Heat was winning multiple WCW World Tag Team Championships, feuding with the Nasty Boys, Knobs and Sags. They had a classic feud which ran several months. They had a great match at WCW Uncensored, at like a Texas Tornado match at 1995. They also feuded with Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater. Like Colonel Rob Parker had an infatuation with Sherry that was kind of comedy. I really didn't like that, but that's just to get them doing something. And also like Harlem Heat feuded with the Steiner Brothers, the Road Warriors, Sting and Lex Luger, and other teams. They were getting pretty good. They were won twice WCW World Tag Team Championships. They were getting a lot of face pops, even though they were heels. In the fall of 1996, the Harlem Heat turned face after winning a few more WCW Tag Team Championships, and they had feuds with Public Enemy, the Faces of Fear, and the Outsiders Hall and Nash. Also the Amazing French Canadians, who were like Jacques and Pierre. And like Colonel Rob Parker turned on Sherry, and he feuded and he sided with the Amazing French Canadians. And the Harlem Heat even had some like singles matches with like Lex Luger and the Giant. And a lot of the WCW says Booker T was ready for like a singles push. In the summer of 1997, WCW fired Sherry as manager of the Harlem Heat. And it was like a big blow to them, but Sherry was not very coherent back, like on most of the times, especially during the later half of the managing Harlem Heat. She was like addicted to drugs, but I think it was time for like Harlem Heat to split up with Sherry anyway. And then they get Miss Jacqueline as manager briefly, but Booker T and Stevie Ray did not need anybody else as manager. And in winter of 1997, they temporarily broke up Harlem Heat when Booker T won the TV title, and Stevie Ray was injured for many months. Like Booker T actually became a top WCW singles wrestler. He feuding with Chris Benoit over the TV title. They had a great Best of 7 series, ranked right up there with Magnum TA and Nikita Koloff. And then, like, Stevie Ray comes back, and then he kind of turns heel and joins the NWO, but Booker T and Stevie Ray do not wrestle against each other. Would have been a good feud, but I don't think they wanted to do that. Booker T becomes like a big singles wrestler in WCW, while Stevie Ray is stuck with the NWO as one of so many wrestlers in the NWO. It didn't work. Eventually, Booker T tells Stevie Ray to get out of the NWO, and they do, and then they reunite and win more WCW Tag Team Championships, like in 1999, feuding with the Filthy Animals and the West Texas Rednecks and the First Family, which was Jimmy Hart's version with like Brian Knobbs and Hugh Morris. It was not as good as the First Family in Memphis. And eventually, like, Harlem Heat starts to have some dissension because they bring a new bodyguard, Midnight, who was a female bodybuilder. But this is when the time Vince Russo ran WCW, and he just created quite chaos. Eventually, Stevie Ray got mad that Booker T was like paying more attention to Midnight than him, and then Stevie Ray challenged Midnight to a match, and Midnight wins against Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray turns heel, and then he attacks Booker T, and then Stevie Ray brings like Big T, who was Ahmed Johnson, who really gained a lot of weight, and he also like brought Jay Biggs, who used to be Clarence Mason in the WWE, and they were renamed Harlem Heat 2000. It was awful. And what was more awful, like Booker T could not use the T anymore. It was just called Booker, and Booker got like Billy Kidman, and they had a team together against Stevie Ray and Big T a few times. This was an awful feud. Like Harlem Heat should have never feuded against each other, because it wouldn't work. Like, this wasn't like a brother versus brother feud that would have worked anyway. Not like Owen and Brett or the Steiners. I didn't think like Booker T was a better like singles wrestler than Stevie Ray. And it was eventually dropped, and like Stevie Ray eventually retires from professional wrestling, joins the broadcast booth in WCW, and Booker T becomes a great single star, eventually winning the World Heavyweight Championship for WCW, goes to the WWE and wins more championships, and Booker T's a 35-time world champion in various things, which is awesome. And what I think that like the Harlem Heat was probably one of the best tag teams of the 1990s. They became super tag team when they were like managed by Sister Sherry. That was their peak. She took a team that was kind of a team that probably would be a 50-50 team, like winning and losing, to one of the best tag teams of all time. And after like she left, the team it was right for them to break up, but I think they lost a little bit of the mojo without Sherry's interference and guidance. That's about it on Harlem Heat. That's about it on these video blogs for the nice Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And tomorrow I'll be back with 3 more video blogs. First video blog will be about the top 10 African American Major League Baseball players of all time. Second video blog will be about the power rankings for the NHL for February 2016. And the third and final video blog of the night is returning the personality profile. Tomorrow will be about WWE Hall of Famer, the Birdman, Coco Brewer. Do the bird, do the bird, 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 do the bird, do the bird, bird. Don't forget Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google Plus. Questions, comments, concerns, plug, shout outs. Send me what you want to be shout out, or plug, private message me. It will be shouted out and plugged. If you don't send me any shout outs or plug, I can't do anything about it. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Brennan guy. Molly Roseblood of WCCO. Roxanne has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart, so stunning. She's the best. Amy Swensley, so awesome. And in the words of Vince McMahon, WWE owner, tonight in this very ring. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.